Hello everyone, Jacqueline Jax here. If you received your Fall Florals watercolor kit, I am opening that now and I can't wait to go over this one with you. It is so much fun. If you're new to the subscription, you will have received a brand new brush. And if it is still hot, it is warm here right now. So my Azo Yellow is actually like a little melty. You just put this in the freezer and it will be fine. You can pull it off a lot easier. Just depends. It's honey watercolor and it's handmade. And although I set it aside for as long as possible, not all colors are going to set the same. And if I make them too thick, that they're just going to crumble. So we want like that nice separate mix of something that is really, really lush. You know what I mean? I don't want to dry it out too much. So the Fall Floral palette is all about transparency, and lovely transparency is going to come in this gorgeous color here, as well as some others. There's also a Shire Trio palette for you to try out if you'd like to try out some Shire colors. These are amazing. These are by Schmincke, and it's part of their granulating line. They are gorgeous. You will love them. Yes, it is a lot different formula from what I make. They are a little bit more difficult in some of them to re-wet and maybe not as pigmented, but they all have something gorgeous to offer. You know, like there's a lot of split colors going on with like Shire Olive if you just let it do its thing. So just add some water to it. Shire Green, you know, they're just lovely in a much different way, different kinds of watercolor. I just tend to love like really, really bold colors. So I think that's why a lot of you guys are subscribed to my handmade watercolors, and you're making me promise not to include colors that I didn't make. So just on the dot cards, but they're gorgeous. They're really, really beautiful. If you are hearing birds, yes, we are right next to my bird cage and the birdies are active right now, but I'll give you a little peek of them because I gave them some treats in hopes that they would be calm and not make a ton of noise, but I can't make any promises. We've got lemon and teal and blue sunshine. There's pace in there. I mean, like, they are all in there. I know, I can't help it. They're so cute though, right? So hopefully it won't bother you. It doesn't bother me. So that's the Shire palette trio. That's fun to use. You can use any of the sampling cards. I included some of these watercolor cards. Now these I love to use for swatches. I love to like poke a hole in them with a hole puncher and keep them on like a ring or something, or keep them in my notebook, because I find that if I think of something interesting, these make great flashcards, both to remember a technique that I want to teach you or just to keep notes on a certain color mix. So I gave you a couple of extra ones and I gave you a printed one as well. There's also a mixing chart, and it shows you, you know, like use the lemon with the bold and blue, and then here's what you get. And do different shades of it, using more lemon here and more blue here, and we'll go over that today. Also, this is on the back is the swatching card, just so that you can identify with the colors, aside from reading them, and just kind of map them out. And we're going to do a few mixes there as well. So several upcoming videos coming for this. You'll have some sample paper in here as well, maybe even a printed sample versus just clean sheets for you to be able to paint and not literally, and just open and get right to it. You know, all the newbies, you definitely will always get a brush and a tin as well to keep your watercolor in, so that way you don't ever have to worry about having that on hand if you're just bringing this to, like, you know, a paint along party or something like that. It will all be inclusive in that first one. So you can see I'm doing Sweet Lemon right now, which is one of my favorite watercolors I make. And I'm just kind of adding it here, giving me enough to be able to mix it later. Then I'm going to go right to the Azo Yellow, which is the one that was a little more creamy. And there's a fire truck going by. Boy, I got everything today, huh? I've got fire trucks and birds. There's my Azo Yellow. We're going to put that there. Now, Azo Yellow is a gorgeous yellow. It's actually one of my favorites because it's got more of a honey color in the mass tone and more of a yellow, lighter, brighter, kind of like Hansa yellow in the lighter tones. So as you work it over, you can get a lot of different looks out of it. And I love that. I use that like crazy. Bolden Blue is a brand new blue that you haven't experienced before. It is kind of like an aqua color, but very, very blue. It's beautiful. It's a great mixing color, something different from the average cobalt and ultramarine that I think you'll really like. And you can see that if we mix it, and I'm just mixing on paper here, if we mix it with our yellow, we get some really beautiful greens. And we have more room to mix this on the other side once it dries. So we'll do another video where we do more mixes. This is just the intro video. So a new green coming out of this that I really, really love would take some of my yellow and some of my Bolden Blue, and it would be this green. I love this green. It's so, so pretty. It's like a spring green. It's a great green for very light green leaves. If you want to like start with light and then work your way to darker greens, you know, that's what I find is really fun to do. Then the last one is a Payne's Gray. Gorgeous, gorgeous, fun, deep gray blue. It's so, so pretty. So you can get really inky with it and mix it in with the Azo to find a really cool looking green shade that you may not have ever thought you could get. Look at that. It makes just a beautiful olive. So 2 gorgeous greens we just made right there. Let's put our Payne's Gray. Just gonna take some water out. So those are our 4 palette colors for mixing. And then let's look at Hematite. Hematite is fun. It is bright, it's bold. It's a gorgeous color. So much fun. And mass tone to transparent. So we're going to go transparent here with a lot more water, drying our brush off. And building that up. Then if you want to just kind of subtract some until you get to a level where you're like, oh, that's a nice little blend in between. There you go. And we're just kind of like, what I'm looking for here is for you to realize that you can build this up just by adding a little more water and playing with your brush, depending on what your brush is. And then you can kind of clean your brush off and remove back the color until you get a very, very light transparency. Because we're going to be doing that in the upcoming videos where we learn to paint with these. So that's the one exercise right there. The huge range of highly pigmented watercolors that I'm working with are always really fun, and they're dimensional. I really do always look to try and make watercolor that I can't buy, that's really dimensional, that's very beautiful and fun to play with, and that mixes well. I think a lot of my colors are like just saviors to me, especially when I'm just doing really bold and crazy stuff. So I hope you really enjoy this one, and I'm going to show you how to make your flowers just very beautiful and angelic. In the upcoming videos, you're going to learn some really pretty things to do with this color for sure, you know, and ways to mix it. Don't forget that as you are mixing, you can do so much, and you shouldn't ever limit yourself. In other words, if you think a color doesn't go together, then try it, because you probably will be very, very surprised. So for instance, if I take my yellow and I take my Payne's Gray and I put those down, I give it lots of beautiful color. What can I do together? So if I bring my Payne's Gray up, and I bring my beautiful bright yellow down, and I just start mixing, you'll see I'm going to get a beautiful kind of greenish shadow color. That's really handy. It's kind of a really interesting looking neutral. And if I add more yellow to it, it's going to go a little more green. And this would be a beautiful shadow green for so many applications. So whether you're doing botanicals or florals, that's a green that you should always have in your arsenal just by mixing my sweet lemon with my Payne's Gray. If you take my Azo Yellow, and it goes over the sunshine or the lemon yellow perfectly. And then we start mixing that in with the Payne's Gray. Then you get that lovely olive shade. And isn't that a lovely one too? I mean, these are just so harmonious together, and not in a way that you would think, but they're very fall oriented, you know? If you take the Bolden Blue, it can go right over our yellow because it's got a level of transparency, but at the same time, it will just do wonderful things when mixed with our Payne's Gray and our Azo Yellow and everything else. So this palette together is a gorgeous palette that is going to do a lot of fun things that you wouldn't really think it did. So if I mix my hematite, you get everything from this really, really beautiful blood color that is just a bright, bright blood, but beautiful, beautiful tone, to some almost wine colors and neutral shades that are so cool for winter. I mean, look at this that's coming through here in this center as I mix it in with the Payne's Gray. Isn't this lovely as we go from fall to winter to have a palette like this? I mean, look at these gorgeous colors. So that's my preference. That's how I like to mix and swatch my colors together to find out what they do, is I just start with two basics and then I start mixing them together, and I just can add and layer as I go along. Do they lift? Absolutely. Just take your shader brush that's available on my website and you can lift all these colors back to something so that you can do a lot of different effects. Especially as we near winter and snow comes, you're going to want this kind of flexibility. So hang on to this palette. It's a beautiful one. I think it's perfect for fall and for winter, and it's going to do so many things for you guys. Coming up, I have some really great painting to do. We're going to be doing the this kind of a style in transparency so that you can really play, and we've got some samples here just to inspire you. So those will be coming up in upcoming videos. Let me know what you think about the palette. Tell me if you love these colors, if this is something you're really excited to learn how to use, if it's something you would have never thought of before, because that's my goal, is hopefully to deliver something that just, you know, you just don't think that you would ever have put together on your own. Just like the last few, I think we really did charge it up there with those as well. All right, my budgies are waking up, so it is time to go. I hope you guys have a wonderful time enjoying and opening your package, and I will catch you on the next one.